Hey, product people, it's Mike with Product Collective. And a few years back, we had somebody with us at Industry the Product Conference that I actually went to school with. Sort of. It was Pete Koomen. Now, Pete is the co-founder of Optimizely. I'm sure you're familiar with Optimizely. Now, it's a massive company. One of the platforms that product people use for sure, and it's been around for a long time. Now, I went to Case Western Reserve University for business school. At the time I was going, Pete also went to Case for his undergraduate studies, at least in one of the particular years that I was there. So same campus. I never met Pete, not at least at that time. But who knows? Maybe we cross paths in the cafeteria. You never know. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is we had Pete Koomen with us at Industry the Product Conference, and he gave a keynote talk. One of the things I wanted to zoom in on in particular was the part of his talk where he talked about enterprise software and what it really means to sell to enterprise software, the difference between what selling enterprise software means versus just selling to an enterprise as an organization. There's a difference. There's a big difference. But I'm going to let Pete talk a little bit about what all this means first, and then we're going to dig in even more. Here's Pete.
About this, I asked myself a simple question: what does enterprise even mean? There's kind of an obvious answer you could give, which is that an enterprise software company sells software to large companies or enterprises, but I don't think that really captures what enterprise means. So I was digging through some of my old emails. This is an email that I sent back in 2011 to a member of the Starbucks web team after they signed up for a subscription to our product, Optimizely. And this is about 6 months after we launched. And Starbucks is, by any definition, an enterprise company. But this email is kind of proof that selling software to an enterprise company does not make you an enterprise software company. For one thing, they were only paying us $70 a month, $80, I think. And then for another thing, if you want more evidence, just count the number of exclamation points in the subject line, which is Pete from Optimizely reaching out, "We love Starbucks," in parentheses. So we were selling software to enterprise companies, but we weren't an enterprise software company. And I talked to a bunch of the folks who've been at Optimizely for a long time, and I reflected on this. And what I came to is that we've always had enterprise customers, but we didn't always have enterprise relationships with these customers.
All right, this point that Pete Koomen from Optimizely is making here, it might seem like a nuance, but this is actually a huge differentiation. Selling software to enterprises versus selling enterprise software that's designed for enterprises. There are all sorts of big differences. I'm going to zoom in on this and cover some of them. There's probably many more, but the few that come to mind for me are scalability and integration, right? That's a big one. When you're selling enterprise software, you're selling not only to these big enterprises, but it's truly software that's designed for the enterprise. It means that your software can scale throughout the organization and plug in throughout all of the different systems that they're using. Some of these big organizations, they're using the same systems as each other, right? So they're looking for software that can easily integrate, easily be plugged in. It isn't a huge lift on their end to plug it into every single one of the platforms that they're using. That's really, really important when it comes to enterprise software. So if you're simply, maybe you have this piece of software and yeah, they have all these systems that can't really plug into it. Well, you're just selling software to an enterprise. You're not selling enterprise software. The other big thing that comes to mind is customization and configurability. Now, with enterprise software, usually it's highly customizable. It could fit into specific organizational needs and workflows, and this is really common. It's funny because when we're selling SaaS to, say, just mid-size organizations, small companies, but it's SaaS. As product people, we're like, well, no, we're not selling custom software solutions. Like, it's our job to think of what features should be made. And if you don't want the features we've got, maybe it's not the right thing for you. you have to throw that off to the wayside, right? If you're selling enterprise software, those enterprises, they have very specific needs, organization to organization. And you're going to want to meet those needs because they're willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay loads and loads of money. I mean, some of these companies are spending millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, just one customer for using that software. Of course, they're going to expect that it could be customized to their needs. This is really, really important when it comes to enterprise software. The other is security and compliance. This is a big issue with big enterprises. Just as a conference, I organize Industry the Product Conference. We have a sponsor that's a big software company, and they sent me their security specifications, and it was really more tailored for software partnerships that they're doing, where they're one piece of software is plugging into another, not really for conferences like ours where they're just going to sponsor our conference. But I got to see all of the different requirements for that particular company, and it's insane. I mean, you'd have to have entire teams that are focused on security to meet all of the specifications. And of course, you're not going to have that unless you are a massive organization, a very large organization of your own. But that's what it takes to sell enterprise software. So if you're prepared for that, great. Maybe you're on the path, or you already are selling enterprise software. But if if all these different compliances of things like SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR, all of that doesn't really mean much to you, you're not selling enterprise software quite yet. All right, couple more big points I wanted to go over. The one was support and service level agreements. For enterprise software, this typically comes with very comprehensive support packages. There's dedicated account managers at times. There are strict SLAs, service level agreements, that have requirements that you have to meet. This is what's required for selling enterprise software. So again, it's just at a different level than if you're selling SaaS software, that these are the expectations that enterprise clients have. And then the last thing that I'll touch up on would be pricing and licensing models. If you're selling enterprise software, this often involves very complex pricing structures, bulk licensing, negotiated contracts, sometimes it's a multi-year contracts, which that could be nice for you. But this is what the expectation is. This isn't just like go to our pricing page and click buy and immediately you're using it. Now, maybe that's where you start. Canva, as an example, they have options for just anybody to use. I use Canva personally. I don't have enterprise software requirements, but they now have an entire offering that's dedicated for the enterprise. And they've done this before. Back in 2019, they offered enterprise options, but it wasn't really to the extent that it is today, where they've gone out and saw all of the needs. They've asked the question, are we ready to sell enterprise software, or are we just looking to sell to enterprise level customers? It's an important distinction, an important differentiation. And I hope that talking it through here helps, just helps let it sink in a bit. So that's it for now, but I will see you soon again with more to dig in on.